ready? It's the Roundtable with me, Robert Bannon.
Well, Broadway World and Broadway Podcast Network family, everyone here at the Roundtable, if you're a Broadway niece, if you're a musical theater fan, then you know our next guest. She's so eternally gorgeous at her voice, her dance, her acting, your whole thing. Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Robert. You're pumping it. You're pumping it.
No, I'm not even exaggerating. I'm not even,
Don't.
this is the truth. I was reading a lot about your career and I was watching a lot of people's comments, and so many people recognize you from your Broadway career and your West End career, including the awards you've won and your role in
It's
Chicago.
been a long road.
Yes, it is
It's been a long
amazing.
road.
It has been amazing.
It's been a long road.
It's an honor to thanks for being here. Your new single, I don't know how to describe it. It's Mack the Knife, everybody, but you've never heard Mack the Knife like this. So tell us, how did this come about for you?
That is the purpose, that it has not been ever reinvented like this. Well, I have to tell you, thank you, first of all, for all the compliments. It really indeed is a long road for me. And we are celebrating this year the 125th birthday of Kurt Weill. Actually, it was just 2 days ago in Dessau, in his birth city in Germany. And I celebrated on March the 2nd, his 125th birthday there in his birth city. It was really very extraordinary with an all Kurt Weill program. Now, I'm singing this music for more than 40 years. We go back to 1984 when I moved to Berlin from Vienna, where I was already an actress and performing musicals and all of that. I went to the divided Cold War Berlin, and that's when I really started studying his music and interpreting it and recording my very first album. And that for some reason, this Fringe album made it onto this desk of the CEO of Universal Music, Decca Music. And here I was, 1987. I started a recording project, which was so very much important. The re-recordings of the music of the Jewish composer oppressed by the Nazis, the whole entire catalog of song repertoire. I was the protagonist of these re-recordings. And here my mission started. And that is more than just singing music or singing songs. It's about talking about the world, the society, talking about history, what it means and meant at that time to have a German passport. And well, here I am. I'm living in New York for more than 25 years. And it had a lot of consequences, this mission, and also this thought process. And well, as you know, I did so much more, chanson repertoire, all kind of different styles and music, and I wrote my own music and stages. And so, but the very early mission on the original mission being singing the music of Kurt Weill continues now and comes full circle with this album, whole album in this style of Mack the Knife. And it's music reinvented now. It's 125 years after his birthday. So people, it's public domain. So you can, really get out of the box and do different things. And that's exactly what I did with this one.
And so the single is out. So you could stream the single wherever you are listening. Mack the Knife is out. And then Pirate Jenny comes out, I believe, in April.
Yes, and we have a great video on YouTube for Mack the Knife. Please check it out. It's all shot here in New York City and Manhattan. And it's Mack the Knife. The story is the most outrageous criminal in town. He's the hero of the underworld, a gangster, a man who works secretly against the establishment. That's the story of Threepenny Opera, 1928, written by Bertolt Brecht and Kurt Weill. So I didn't make this up, right?
No.
But it sounds pretty contemporary, right? Like somebody who shakes up everything and doubts, those who are in power, and wants to make a point about justice and equality, rights to people. So it's a cool, very contemporary story. And here we are in Manhattan, and I shot this video right here in this neighborhood. And
it's so. I was trying to describe, because when I think of the song, I think of it, with a very Vegas-y, jazzy kind, but your arrangement is dark and sexy and moody, and it moves in a different way. And you give the vocals you give are haunting. The instrumentation is haunting. How did the arrangement come about? Who worked with you on this?
Well, the jazzy versions that you were speaking about are made up by American interpreters 30 years after the song was written. Right. It was written as a ballade a very one man sings it in the show Threepenny Opera with a one of these orgues de barbarie, you know, this org that you turn and you stand in the streets. It's for a beggar. It's called the Beggar's Opera.
Yes.
It's you know, and that's the story, and it's really very. The text is real cruel and very drastic and very visual. So now, after it came to America and Louis Armstrong, Ella Fitzgerald, Frank Sinatra were singing these songs, they made out of it a jazz standard, and that's not what it was originally, and that's what it never was for me, because obviously I want to honor the original. So what you hear in the video, first of all, is the real, rather expressionist, realistic approach to the words. And then again, my really kind of jazzy, but expressionist jazzy interpretation, and a little bit theatrical too. But it's not cabaret. It's really rather contemporary, groovy, as you say, kind of sexy, new arrangement. It's done by David Chesky, a collaborator of mine, and he has he has reinvented this in my way.
It's gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. So everybody needs to stream it. It is going to give you all the feels. And I'm ready for this. You know, I was reading about your career, the first West German, you know, after the Berlin Wall, you being on that stage, this opera was in, and speaking to people, your work that you've done for the Jewish community, that you've done for Holocaust survivors, the way that you've incorporated your culture and religion into your work. And we are living in the most crazy, insane times here in the United States. This could not be as more timely for you to pinpoint not only these artists, these songs and these stories and these composers, but to put a light on your entire work's mission has really been to talk about equality, fairness, anti-Semitism.
Talk about society, and yes, exactly, about the mistakes that have been made in history. To talk about, you know, there's a great phrase, which is history wanted to be a good teacher, but it couldn't find any students. So the repetition of history and the cycle of history, we all know about that. And now in this world nowadays, to be in the middle of, well, we're not here in America, but Europe is shaken up. There's hot wars, tanks, bombs, all of that we thought is long gone with World War II. Yet we're still in the middle of it, and people are being displaced. There is just like a lot of very bad miscommunication out there in the world, and people who would take very drastic steps to actually go ahead and throw bombs again. So we really need to ask ourselves, did we not learn anything?
Yeah, we're repeating history as we speak. So that's why I'm very moved by researching you and reading about you and seeing the interviews you've done in Germany and the interviews you've done around the world, and used your name and your Grammy nominations and your sold out shows and all of the acclaim to put this message out there for the world. It's really quite a body of work.
Yes, I'm very you know, this is my red line, and every project I do, even the project about Marlene Dietrich, the Hollywood actress who was actually a German expatriate, fought in World War II against the Nazis, and kind of her whole legacy and life was also dedicated to basically speaking up and speaking out, also as a woman in times when women were not allowed to speak up. So I had a phone call with Marlene Dietrich in 1987, and for some reason, 30 years later, I realized that she gave me a mission. She gave me a message, a mission for the people in the future, and here we are in this future today. And I'm making a show about this phone call and speaking with her voice, channeling her, giving this message about you know, never again, thinking twice, and spreading humanity and kindness rather than miscommunicating and spreading intolerance.
Well, when you look at your website, which people can go to your website, and we'll put the link below us where we're watching, you have a full year worth of dates. You're doing concerts around the world. You're coming to New York. You're debuting this. You're doing at 54 Below. You're doing this album that we're talking about. You're also doing. You're working. You're out here singing.
Yeah, I'm still planning and doing it. Yes, and even though I definitely, from all the dancing and all those many millions of times on stage, I certainly feel it in my bones. But I very much still have the flame. I'm excited about this album because it's a complete way of reimagining Kurt Weill, and it's great on his in his birth year to bring it to the younger generations. And it's not some kind of like antique theater piece, you know, from the past, or like this jazzy, easygoing thing from Frank Sinatra. No, it is really a biting satire of a song, and I want people to hear it like this. And the younger generations, I mean, they're educated, they can hear it, and it's a piece of history at the same time, a totally contemporary. And yes, I mean, in New York, in the 54 Below, I will be presenting a critic Weill evening, which is very pure, just with piano. It's hard to bring this album on stage because it's like produced, it's meant to, it's a sound picture, it's a surround sound. You're standing in the middle of basically, you know, the apocalypse, and it's a very powerful, eerie arrangement that really surrounds you when you listen. So it's very difficult to do that on stage. And I will just pay homage to Kurt Weill in a very puristic way in the 54 Below.
I love 54 Below. It's the best place to see a show. You get a little Caesar salad and a little drink and a sophisticated evening. This is the evening to have. So you got to get your tickets. There's 2 dates and the link will be below us. You have, you know, sung with and done things for all sorts of artists across the board, and the Broadway, and if you hear you sing cabaret or you hear your Chicago, it's iconic in that way. How do you find these inspirations to do something like this? How do you find the inspiration? I know Marlene Dietrich, you had an experience with her, but to be able to sit down and create this album, you could take the easy road and go on tour with the Broadway show and call it a day, but you go and dig in and you find such creativity and art in what you do. It's amazing.
Well, when after being on musical theater stages and straight theater stages for 15 years, from 85 to 2000, with Chicago on Broadway, the last one, I felt I've done this, and I really need to be, as an artist, a lot more creative, a lot more challenging to myself, and not being a little screw in a big machine of a big production, serving the production, but having my own voice, which was always my will and my desire to do that. I've always been a rather rebellious person that needs to speak up. I'm very hard for me to deal with authority and to fit in and to like obey to a director. So I always felt like these Broadway productions and musicals were a marginal activity, but not really hitting what I really wanted to do. So since the year 2000, I'm just creating my own projects, writing my own music. I started writing after using my creative time for painting. Then in 2000, I started writing music. I created projects out of like a blink of an inspiration, you know, a blink of a feeling in life, being lost, looking for salvation, looking for love, keeping on going. I'm a mother of 4 children. I have a very regular life too, that is not like, oh my God, how do I look today? And me, the artist, like egocentric way. I'm really basically serving a lot of other people before I'm usually last on the list. But I do watch, and I do clearly see what's going on out there between Europe, between America, between South America, and people, and poetry, and how the attention to poetry disappears, how it gets replaced by digital reality, and replaced by digital music. And just the spark of like real suffering, human suffering that's universal, how it is put into music and song and poetry, is like the original source for us, you know, performers. And so I just kept creating. First, I did a music to Charles Bukowski, you say, poetry, very avant-garde jazz. Then Pablo Neruda, which was Latin American music inspired by tango and Piazzolla. And Paulo Coelho, which was also inspirational, and my own stuff.
I was just watching videos of you and Paulo. I mean, The Alchemist is like my life story here. I mean, I've lived my whole life based on that book. When you want
Oh, it's a
something, the whole
fantastic
universe
book. Yeah.
conspires to help you. So I just, when I saw that you and the music you wrote together and what you did in that project is so beautiful. People
Oh,
need to,
thank you.
you need
Yeah.
to look for it. The whole litany, 30 albums, 30 plus albums that you've put out.
I think with participation, and so yes. But I think the last albums, like starting with the cycle of poetry, the Pablo Neruda, Paulo Coelho, and also the Vogler String Quartet, and then Marlene Dietrich album, and then my Time Traveler album, which is my recent album with my new own songs, really reflecting on life and reflecting on the passage of time and time, being in this room of time and just growing larger and inhabiting more and more with age the room of time. So it's not a linear sensation at my age, and I really wrote many songs about that, rather poetic, and that was really an important album for me. And now in this Kurt Weill year, it's kind of another completely unexpected. I had a conversation last summer with David Chesky, and he said, it's the Kurt Weill year next year. You got to do something else. You already have the original versions out there. Let's do something completely new. And out of a blink of a taxi ride in Manhattan, the next day we started.
I can't wait for you to check this out, everybody. The video and the song is streaming. You have a book. You're an amazing artist because you're a painter. You have a book. You're a writer. You're in journals. You sing. You dance. You act. You do it all. You are somebody that we all can be inspired from, and you use your voice for good, which is what we all can take away from your whole entire career. What's your goal for us? What do you want us when we listen to this album, when we listen to it from beginning to end, when this ends, what should we take away from these songs and this story that you're trying to tell?
Well, first of all, of course, I'm trying to tell people what kind of a storyteller Bertolt Brecht and Kurt Weill were. And there's not just Brecht words, there's Ogden Nash, there is Ira Gershwin, there's, and the American, Kurt Weill, the Jewish-German composer, went into exile after 1933, was in Paris for a while, and then immigrated to America and started a new career here. So the compositions are very different from the German, rather expressionist material, revolutionary material, to the smoother American material. And I'm just really reminding this exemplary journey that this man took. He only lived 50 years. He died of a broken heart in Los Angeles. He basically, had to abandon his whole first cycle of compositions that he did during Weimar time. And I'm reminding people of this great composer. At the same time, I'm in my interpretations letting people see how incredibly contemporary those songs are. They are wicked, they're smart, they're satirical, they're provocative, and they're fun. But then all of this in a very groovy context of music, reinvented, harmonically polyphonic, as we say, because there's complex harmonies, but we put this in this polyphonic universe and it works. And just really bringing it, just making a point, it's still alive, it's out there, and it's new. It's new again.
Well, everybody, I guarantee you're going to have a blast. It's such an honor to talk to you, from anyone who's seen you on stage, to seen you on screen, to read your work or listen to your music, many Grammy nominated music that you have. It's been such an honor to talk to you and research more about you. I can't wait to hear the whole album. I hear it and I'm like, Billie Eilish needs to do a duet with you and sing it, because it gives me all the vibes of all the things that are.
That is so cool that you say that. She is so unique, that Billie Eilish, she has such nobody can, she's staying so faithful and truthful to really the way she feels and expresses song, music, and stories. Yeah. And when she goes into the digital stuff, the new stuff, I feel like, no, don't do that. Like, be as pure as possible. And it's really, she's something she inspired me. And she could be my daughter, right?
Well,
she inspired me because, she just doesn't care. And it's not necessarily commercial in a way, but it's so unique,
Well, you're inspiring us and the more generations.
She lives in the neighborhood here on the Upper West Side.
You got to see her. You and your kids will be out and about, and you'll see her wandering the street. Congratulations. Our show is your show. It's an honor to talk to you, and we're so grateful to spend some time with you today.
Robert. Thank you so much for you featuring this reinvented Kurt Weill.
My pleasure. My honor.